Okay, du bist zwar das ganze Mitglied vom Verein. Du machst das auch gern, aber so kann es nicht sein. Wenn Erwachsene sagen, Klappe zu, dann ist es so. Okay? Und jetzt kriegst du aber trotzdem ein paar. Nein, merkt ihr das für die Zukunft? Okay? Wenn wir was sagen, dann ist es Ruhe. Und wenn ich was sage, ist sowieso eine Ruhe.
So, nachdem ihr so brav wart, wollen wir schauen, was wir euch mitgebracht haben. So, das ist für dich, Sarah. Bitteschön. Und für den Raphael hätten wir auch etwas, aber wenn er sich nicht heraustraut, sollten wir das wieder mitnehmen.
Raphael, komm. Raphael.
Raphael.
Das ich nehmen. Das sagt man doch.
Danke.
Bitteschön.
Gibst du das ein bisschen?
Every year on Christmas Eve, jolly Santa Claus visits all the children in the world. He gives sweets and presents to all the good children and lumps of coal to all the bad ones. It is common knowledge that Santa Claus is Saint Nicholas, a Greek bishop who lived in what is now Turkey and who was known for his generosity. What is less well known is his travelling companion. In the Christian calendar, St. Nicholas's feast day is December the 6th. But on the night before, in Austria, a demonic creature stalks the streets, hunting for naughty children. He may beat them, or put them in his basket and whisk them away to hell, or devour them in his lair. He is known as Krampus. But is he real? Reports of Krampus go back hundreds of years. Most commonly, Krampus is described as a half-goat, half-demon humanoid with great horns, fangs, a long tail, one cloven hoof, and one recognizably human foot. His shaggy hide is bound by chains, which rattle as he approaches. Apart from the basket on his back, he also carries a fistful of twigs or sticks, often birch. Krampus will leave these sticks in the stockings of naughty kids, or use them to beat misbehaved children. On Krampus night, children would disappear, kidnapped by Krampus and thrown into streams to drown. The ones whose bodies were never found were believed to have been taken beyond our world to burn in hellfire, or to be digested in Krampus's belly. Krampus's origins are a great mystery. The first confirmed stories of Krampus come from the 16th century, but historians think Krampus sightings go back a millennium. They originate in the remote alpine valleys of Austria. Most folklorists think Krampus predates Christianity, and he may even be the son of Hel from Norse mythology. The name is derived from the German word Krampen, which means claw. He has been associated with Santa Claus since the 17th century. Folklorist Maurice Bruce argues this is when the chains were added to Krampus as a symbol of pagan demons being conquered by the true faith. To Christians, Krampus was as real as Santa. Not all Christians welcomed Krampus into their traditions. Krampus was banned in Austria under a fascist dictatorship between 1934 and 1938 because he was seen as anti-Christian, sinful, and therefore associated with social democrats. Needless to say, the ban was lifted. Today, Austrians annually celebrate the Krampuslauf, when men, often drunk, dress up as Krampus and chase naughty children around the town. There are similar winter traditions across Europe, usually surrounding the concept of the wild man, who is animalistic in nature. This suggests Krampus's pagan origins may go deeper. Tellingly, the wooden masks carved for Krampusnacht are called Perchten. This name comes from the goddess Perchte. Her name means the bright one in Old High German, and she appears as a beautiful snow-white woman. Yet she also appears old and haggard, with one weirdly enlarged foot, like Krampus's unusual appendages. She is the equivalent of Italy's La Befana, the old witch who, on the 5th of January, fills the socks of good children with sweets and leaves lumps of coal for bad kids. She in turn has obvious similarities to Father Christmas. Perchte herself may be an amalgamation of Celtic and Germanic traditions, but scholars disagree. In 1882, Jacob Grimm concluded she is a pre-Christian deity, but John B. Smith said that, like Befana, she is the personification of Epiphany, the Christian celebration of Jesus' manifestation. But Perchte's familiars are not very Christ-like. They have horns, tusks, and tails, and are known as Perchten, the same name as the Krampus masks. These masks cost hundreds of dollars, and they are not the only Krampus merchandise available. Krampus greeting cards have been sent since the 1800s, some of which show a more lecherous version of the beast. In recent years, chocolates, decorations, films, and TV shows have been inspired by him. The annual Krampus parades in Europe have become major tourist attractions. In the city of Graz, in Austria, the 2013 Krampuslauf was attended by 35,000 people. Dedicated Krampus museums exist, preserving examples of the Krampus costumes that have been made over the years. Naturally, this has led to complaints about commercialization, especially since Krampus's popularity started to spread to America. Dr. Ava Kreisel says Krampus is becoming increasingly marketable, and many people are buying devil horns to go with their Santa hats. However, since Krampus does not distribute gifts and actively hunts or even kills children, does that not make him the anti-Saint Nick?
So Santa Claus, he also has another name. What is Santa Claus' name? He's called Saint Nick or Saint Nicholas. Now what I'm about to teach you is going to surprise the socks off of you. And I don't know what else to do but just present it and pray you'll accept it. But Santa Claus, or Saint Nick. Now you go to some historical places and listen to people who tell you where Saint Nick came from, and many of them say, well, Saint Nicholas was a 4th century Russian, and they say that he became a saint. Well, who made him a saint? These people. The Roman Catholic Church sainted this guy. So he was a Catholic. But who was he really? I've done a lot of studying about who Saint Nicholas was. And I want to give credit where credit is due. I went to av1611.org, I think it was, and found a lot of good information about this. Who was Saint Nicholas? Well, let's go to the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1999. It says, Nicholas's existence is not attested by any historical document. So there was no Saint Nick. He's a made-up character. Interesting. Other people say that Saint Nick, who lived in the 14th century as a Christian patron saint of Russia, it says his accounts of his life are confused and historically unconfirmed. The Microsoft Encarta Encyclopedia of 1999. So they say, look, a lot of people think that that's who he was, but we cannot confirm historically that that's who he really was. It's confused. Well, who's the author of confusion? Not Jesus, but Satan. Unfortunately, very little is known about the real St. Nicholas. I'm reading from the Christmas Almanac, New York, Random House 2004. It says, very little is known about the real St. Nicholas. Countless legends have grown up around this popular saint, but very little historical evidence is available. So it's hard to know who this really is. I'm about to show you who it really is, and it's going to shock you. In 1969, the final nail in the coffin was put into St. Nicholas and who he was. Pope Paul the Sixth officially decreed the feast of St. Nicholas removed from the Roman Catholic calendar. because of doubt that he ever existed. So even the Catholics are backtracking and saying, you know, we don't even know if that guy's real. Yet they sainted him. How could you saint someone who's not even real? He says, because the saint's life is so unreliably documented, they dropped him from the Catholic calendar in 1969, according to Microsoft Encarta Encyclopedia 99. No evidence exists that this guy was ever real, or who he is. Now, I'm going to go to an Encyclopedia of Occultism and Parapsychology, printed in New York by the Gale Research Incorporated, 1991, page 650. Look what this book says. Old Nick, a well-known British name of the devil. It's right there. They say, this occult book, that Nick is a name for the devil. So who is Saint Nick? Well, we can't find any evidence that he was a man that really lived, but we do find evidence that this was a devil. Interesting. The Concise Dictionary of English Etymology, printed in 1993, says that the word Nick is another word for the devil. It says in the Oxford English Dictionary, are you ready for this? Devil, besides the name Satan. He is also called Beelzebub, Lucifer, and in popular or rustic speech by many familiar terms as Old, you got it, Nick. Old Nick. There are so many historical accounts that this name, Old Nick, or Saint Nick, is another name for Satan, the devil. Here it comes from the book, The Origins, Last of the Wild Men, The Origins and Evolution of St. Nicholas, printed by Jefferson, McFarland and Company in 1997, page 69, written by Phyllis Seifker. It says, Nicholas is one of the most common devil names, I can't make this stuff up, in German, a name that remains today when Satan is referred to as Old Nick. So, Saint Nick ain't no saint. It gets worse. It gets worse. In certain German children's games, St. Nicholas figure himself is the dark helper, a devil who wants to punish children. From When Santa Was a Shaman, St. Paul, Llewellyn Publications, 1995, page 105. He's also known as Black Pete, the grandfather of the modern Santa Claus. Many years ago, Santa Claus was called Black Pete, known in Holland as zwarte piet. This 18th century German version, and you know, there's many versions of Santa Claus, and over the year they've all come into one single little version. So they take from all these pagan legends and apply them to Santa. And what are they doing? They're taking all the different legends of Baal, of Saturn, of Nimrod, of Tammuz, and applying them to Santa. It says here, although portrayed as the slave helper of St. Nicholas, the two are in many villages blended into one character. This figure often has the name of Nicholas or Klaus, but has the swarthy appearance of the dark helper. To the medieval Dutch, Black Peter, zwarte piet, was another name for the devil.